Never been like that, and I've been here for 11 years. Excuse me. So that was where the miscommunication was. We've never fed everyone out of the money that was collected. So just to clarify that was the miscommunication.
Okay, so you guys have heard it. Unfortunately, I think for next time we need to make things more clearer. Did anybody else understand that was at the meeting here last time for the OCC? So unfortunately, because that was the miscommunication, we run into problems like this. And so we need to be a little more clear of what is going to be bought or not. I didn't know that the school didn't put that money towards buying stuff for the parents because I assume it's a community building, not a fundraiser. And so it goes back straight into the Campout for the parents to pay for the food. So there needs to be better communication. And so we know now for next time, everything is a learning process. And so for next time, now we know, let's get it in writing or let's be more clear. We can only buy this or this. And that way we don't run into problems like this.
Katz, I think you can. I'd like to apologize. Don't mean to offend anybody, but it was our understanding that whatever was left to buy for the Campout that would be purchased is why we provided a list at the last minute. I'm going to read a statement that was read at our public meeting, our USEN board meeting. And more than anything, this is sad for me as a parent and as a member of the OCC and as a member of the community. It says, our request to use funds that the parents contributed to attend the Campout for food was not approved by Juanita. Juanita's response, I have contacted my legal counsel and there is no way money can be spent on food except watermelons and water. My question was, what is the difference between watermelons and water and burger patties and noodles? Juanita's response that all that has been spent by other OCC members was on watermelons and waters. As we already had that donated, we were looking for other things to complete our donations, not to purchase food for the entire event. We had a lot of gracious parents, community members donate food, so we were just asking to push the last completion. You know, a couple more burger patties, a couple more noodles. It was not anything out of the ordinary, which was only $250 after Kat spent the money. Juanita's response that all has been, I have contacted Donna Strong and no code can be used in our accounting to classify that expend. We can only spend funds on educational expenses. Juanita informed us all purchases would have to be made by us, me and Kat, and filed for reimbursement. Well, I'm glad we didn't do that because there was a possibility of us not being reimbursed. We were informed that all cash that parents gave us for the Campout could not be used and must be turned in. Imagine operating an organization where you came up with funds and then waited to be reimbursed when the school had the funds existing already in account to pay for it. So that's the reality. If anybody else has any questions, then I welcome it. Thank you.
Yes, Kathy, I'm coming to you.
I understand that for the money that we pay when we go there, what is that for then? Why are we paying the $25?
Did everybody hear that?
Okay.
Okay, so Kathy's question is, if we're paying $25 to go there, then what is the money used for? Unfortunately, I cannot answer that whole thing because this is my first year as president. And so my understanding is if I'm going to charge you for spending the night, I'm going to feed you. And so that was the whole thing that I've experienced before. And therefore, the money that was collected went to its purpose, which the purpose was to pay for the sites and the food. Like I said, this is a learning process. There has to be better communication, but unfortunately, I can't answer what that money has been used for in the past, if it's only whatever is left over. I don't know, I can't answer, only what we use that money for this time. I'll be right with you, yes.
I'd like to say that the parents also donated a lot of food on their own for breakfast and things like that, along with paying the fee. And so the parents have really come together to, donate, and I don't see why, that funding from the school that we're supposed to give them couldn't have been used for the food. We all went out of our way at that Campout. We all bought the extras that were necessary in order to cover what was not being able to be used from the fund, apparently.
So that makes anybody, yes.
So who can answer that question?
Can you answer that question, Juanita? Juanita can answer that question. For money.
Okay, so we can use the funds collected, the $25 to buy food,
but we had not received the money in the office. My understanding is that the money was received after the campout. Is that correct?
The money was not received after the campout. The money was received when we were standing outside every single day after school.
Then it
And
was,
there was money turned into the office. Some people.
Yeah, some people paid in the office, so it was the office got some and then we got some. And I made a list, I have a list of whoever paid me that was outside, and that cross-references with what I spent and receipts, and I can definitely make copies if anybody wants that. It does add up, with the exception of 3 cents that I put in.
so the money that is collected from the campout can be used only for the campout? No other funds from any other area can be used for a campout? If that's the question asked.
Yeah.
The question is this, any legal transaction is always dated, right?
Any legal transaction?
Right, with money, monetary.
Oh, monetary transaction is always dated, yes,
Yes,
correct.
so you guys should have the date when you receive your money, right?
That is correct, we should have a date when we receive and
So,
deposit it.
so when do you receive your money? After or before?
That would be a,
Partial before and then the rest on Monday.
so partial before and partial the day after the campout on a Monday.
And whatever money was received Monday did not come from OCC us, it came from the parents that paid afterwards. Not from us, OCC. Yes, Rhonda.
I've been here, this is my 13th year here, and I was a prior member of the OCC and a prior president of the group. And in the past, the money that was collected for the campout was used to pay for the fee to rent the property and also to pay for food and supplies used at the campout.
Before we continue, I'd just like to announce we do have some special guests with us today. The founder of the school. Yeah, I know Mike doesn't like to talk, except we love his jokes. This is Mike Roberts, and he's one of our board members here at the school. We also have another board member in the back. We're not going to let him hide. His name is Agustin Navares, I believe, and he's also one of our board members of our school. Any other questions before we move on, or any more clarification you guys may need as parents?
Well, not as parents, but.
So really the only problem was just that OCC, as it was being collected up there, needed to be turned into the office, but then it was able to be used for the campout.
No, that's not the problem.
So what we were told was that we would turn in the list of the stuff. Hold on, Suzanne.
So there was no problem. The only problem was that the money was not turned in, and then the food purchase, and then reimbursement received. They did not seek reimbursement. They spent the money ahead of time. So we just needed a paper trail. Money be turned in, we deposit it, they purchase items, and they ask for reimbursement. But it was done backwards.
You're expecting them to pay for the food out of pocket first and then to get reimbursed?
Or to turn in the money as they received it, so it could be deposited, and then it takes less than a week to get reimbursed.
Okay, but they collect their finances, there's a short timing, there has to be some kind of way around it, whether it's petty cash or something, because I personally don't want to take a $250 hit and wait a week so that I can get my money back. That makes no sense. They're doing something, they're always doing this time, they're coordinating, they're staying there taking the money, and then now we expect them to take a hit to pay for the food that they're going out on their own time and purchasing. That makes no sense.
In the past, I've been here for over 8 years, it's only been a pancake breakfast and spaghetti dinner, and it's almost been 100% donated. That's why we've purchased watermelons and water, because it's a small supplement, but it's never been a full 3 days of meals. It's just been 2.
But we did get donations, and there was money to cover the cost, so you wouldn't even have been paying for the parents to eat. You would have just been fronting the money until all of the amount came in, or whatever portion it was. And just because you set a precedence for watermelon and water, doesn't mean that's what it has to be.
Unfortunately, it's just a process.
Can you clarify, this is Suzanne, everybody, she's, does our office books and payroll and all kinds of great stuff. I just want clarification before you leave. You're saying that there was no money for the campout given to the office prior to our request?
There was money about 3, and we decided that. We did talk to Kat about having to purchase the items and then seek reimbursement, but she opted to.
Okay, because just to clarify, you said that there wasn't that money turned in yet, we didn't follow a process, but there was money turned in for the campout prior to the office?
Small amounts, yes.
Absolutely, okay.
You say regardless if there was an amount to offset the purchases, they still have to be, so if the purchase was gonna be $150, and you had $150, they still have to be reimbursed.
Yes, we cannot.
So now is there a way that the school could take care of that and you guys get reimbursed? Like, instead of it being a parent who's already volunteering their time? and you
Well,
have to come
they did state that they could have made the purchases. So they did offer to make the purchases. The clarification was that they said that they didn't expect it to be food. So they did make offer, Eric offered to purchase the stuff. So,
But I'm still confused. Yeah.
Where the Campout has never fed everybody the 3 full meals. When I made that statement, it was because, yes, we can purchase whatever is left, whatever meat else.
See, it's a different story.
Which is what we've done in the past. But it would never go by this full of food for us to feed everybody in the Campout. That's where the miscommunication was. Yes, there was money collected, but we still had the fees that we had already paid. So remember, the OCC, it was already paid, the $695 was already paid to the school. So that is supplemented already a year ahead. So remember, those fees that are collected have to cover that fee that we already paid too. So it's never been considered a fundraiser, it's never been anything like that. It's just that miscommunication of where it was put out there that we would feed everybody when it's never been fed.
From my understanding, the last OCC paid for this year, that was what was told to us, and we have the receipts.
Right, it was paid for.
Yeah, so with the funds that were collected last year. Because of the fire, we ended up camping at Royal Oaks, and so it was cheaper than it was to camp at Toro Park. So therefore, whatever was paid there went back into Toro Park. And because there was no balance left to pay Toro Park this year, that money needed to pay for the food for people. Because we didn't have to pay for Toro Park. So that money went where it needed to go, which was to feed the people that went and for whatever activities.
Hi, my name is Aide Farias, and I'm a community member, and I just recently attended a board meeting where a lot of this was discussed. And I think one of my initial concerns is, why did it take till the last minute to figure out how to support these parents here? If the intention of the event was stated, if the fundraising activities occurred, why is this happening the last few days where you still have lack of clarification on what the intent of these funds are, and you're letting this miscommunication happen? If I were your staff, I want to know, what is it that you're trying to do, and how can I help you as parents get there? Instead of letting this happen and create a very stressful situation 2 days prior. I mean, with all your years of experience and you being here, and if you had questions, and this is a first, then I think it's on you to say, what else do we need, and be more proactive instead of reactive, and obviously at a cost for one of your members to have to go and beg for food last minute, and everybody feel like they've already contributed 1 or 2 ways. That for me is a concern. But more than anything is I'm not hearing what you guys have learned from it and how you're planning on making sure this type of miscommunication isn't going to continue in the future, because the comments from parents was that they loved it, it was a success, and they want to continue doing it. So build the capacity to handle a multi-day event like this, so that you're not leaving your parents hanging.
Right, get the lesson learned, so I'm sure for next year, we know exactly what we're doing.
So I know that you all took time from your busy days to be here, and we're here to come up with ideas to make sure this doesn't happen again for next year. So we're here to problem solve, to come up with ideas. And certainly Kat, as the president, and the staff need to meet again to plan for next year, to avoid any of this miscommunication, who says what and when. Lesson learned for all of us is communication is key. So if we can move on to the next item on the agenda, knowing that we learned from this, it was a hard lesson, but lesson well learned.
I just want to make sure that everybody is able to voice their opinion. So if we're done, we can move on to the next one. One last one.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es María Guerrero. Yo tengo casi como 3 años aquí en esta escuela y me siento triste que siempre se generan este tipo de problemas que se pueden generar. Yo con respecto a las personas que tienen 11, 12 años, eso les debería de servir de experiencia para evitar este tipo de conflictos. Porque aquí solamente hay una cosa, aquí por lo que se está luchando es por los niños. porque es un campamento para los niños. Como dijo el padre que está atrás, dijo, es para unirnos. Ahí conoces más a tu hijo, porque durante los días no tienes tiempo suficiente para estar con ellos. Administración, y todos los que están en la administración deberían de tener un poquito más de, ¿qué les puedo decir? El dinero estaba ahí, porque colectamos de la venta de cohetes, había suficiente dinero para poder agarrar de ese dinero y que se comprara lo necesario. Fue un éxito, porque muchos padres no saben por lo que pasamos, los que estamos organizando esto. Yo formé parte poco de esto, pero me da una tristeza tremenda que siempre estamos luchando para que se otorgue ese dinero de OCC. Es para el apoyo de nuestros hijos. En esta junta estamos para apoyar a nuestros hijos, ser la voz de nuestros hijos, que se escuche la voz de nuestros hijos, que se sienta la conexión de padre a hijo, que se sienta la conexión de amigo a amigo, que conozcan más padres, que conozcan más niños. Es una tristeza que esto esté pasando y yo no sé cuánto tiempo más va a pasar para que pare esto. Yo respeto a los que tienen 11, 12 años, 15 años aquí, pero eso debería de servir como experiencia para que sean mejor cada día. Y se los digo con respeto, no les estoy faltando el respeto. Simplemente se tienen que evitar este tipo de conflictos, porque aquí los que importan son los niños. Y por ellos estamos aquí, luchando porque esta escuela sea mejor cada día. Que se mire que sí estamos luchando por ser mejor cada día. Aquí yo quiero decir algo que sí se ha logrado en estas juntas de OCC, que se le ha pedido a la directora, a Juanita. Yo personalmente le quiero dar las gracias. Se le hizo la petición, también se le tiene que mirar lo bueno que hace. Se le hizo la petición que la E se permaneciera dentro de la clase y se logró este año, y yo le quiero dar las gracias frente a ustedes. Tenemos que ir paso por paso, pero mirar que se logren esas metas, porque es por nuestros hijos, es por la educación de ellos. Aquí solamente lo que importan son ellos. Así es que, administración, por favor les voy a pedir que se abran a tener mejor comunicación y no decir, yo tengo más el poder, o yo tengo más el poder, o sí, no. Aquí somos un equipo y como equipo tenemos que trabajar por el bienestar de nuestros hijos o los alumnos que están dentro de esta escuela. Es todo lo que tengo que decirles.
Gracias, María. So we're going to move on. Next item on the agenda is the
You gotta translate.
Oh, yeah, translate.
So Maria basically just addressed, I'm gonna try and as much as I remember, she basically thanked Juanita for keeping the aides in the classroom. She just said that there needs to be better communication. We need to build stronger relationships within each other, within the teachers, within the staff, because we are here for the kids, and that is what we are here for, the kids. And the Campout, she said, why wouldn't you do a little bit more for the Campout when it's building community, it's for when parents are able to be with their kids, and it just builds better community. That's all I remember.
And given the experience of the staff.
And given the experience of the staff, that this kind of stuff shouldn't have happened, and she requests that the administration and the OCC, that things don't become where I have more power than you, so I can do this, and she's asking for cooperation.
On behalf of the kids.
And advocating for her kids, and the people really love the event.
Okay, so we're going to move on to firework money. So there have been issues in regards with this. I know a lot of you have been asking. A lot of you worked in the booth and have been asking about the funds. The last time I had a meeting with Juanita, we were told that she was going to meet with Oasis legal counsel in regards to these funds with myself. But I understand that she probably has the money total now, or no? Okay, because I put on here, I don't have a dollar amount for you. And so, do you want to come and say how much was made?
Presentation.
If you guys want, you can stand up, stretch. Si se quieren parar, párense, estírense.
Okay, so the total sales for the fireworks were $27,082. TNT fees, $16,734. So that's minus that. Minus $616.54 in supplies. Minus $1,896 in city surcharge. Minus $2,403 with 52 cents for state taxes. And then for Erica and Eliza's salary, $2,526.69. iPad rental, $185, which leaves a total of $2,720.25.
You heard right, that's $27,000 in sales with a profit of
2,000, what is it, Juanita, 2,720 cents. Now, I don't know how many of you were here working the firework booth. I was. I can tell you, I worked every single day, half an hour before we opened until half an hour after, including 4th of July. My kids had to be in a tent. So, the profit of this for being $2,000, $2,700, I think we as a community and OCC need to think if that is worth it. I personally can tell you no. Because that is a lot of work, and that's not a lot of money. That's a huge cut from $27,000 to make that much. Yes?
I've worked with public schools before. Can you clarify why salary had to be an expense for your fundraiser?
So salary had to be an expense. We were told that we needed at least one paid staff member, which was Eliza. Why, I don't know. Juanita can better answer that one.
So
there's 2 paid staff members now added on there.
Yeah, so
that's brand new to us.
I'm going to clarify the start of this process, and I'm sorry for the details of this. But it started off as they told us we needed 5 volunteers, try to fill those spots. We noticed, me and Kat noticed that there was about 3 staff members per shift scheduled. So we brought it to Juanita's attention and we said, whoa, we can find the parents to cover these shifts. So that's what we did. We called people, we begged even people who I never talked to on Facebook, and they came. Mike came out, and other parents and community people volunteered. We started to notice that there was staff coming in. We took the initiative to ask, are you volunteering? Yes, yes, yes. No problem. We got hit with, and I'm glad that this is getting clarified now, but we were actually hit initially with a payroll expense of over $5,000. Wow. And we said, whoa, what's going on here? That's ridiculous. I took almost a week off of my job to drive the truck, be there, and none of my coworkers are here, she never saw me. So, and unfortunately, even though we had that conversation and that agreement, there was still a $5,000 payroll expense, okay? We clarified that with Juanita after the fact. She says, well, how about this? I have room in my budget, I will eat that payroll expense.
Minus Eliza.
No.
Minus Eliza, we still have to pay for Eliza.
Minus Eliza. So she, even though we didn't need those people, and we clarified and we filled those spots, they were still paid, and that's one of my sadnesses is there's a misuse of those funds. Yeah, Juanita has that luxury of using her payroll budget, but I think that was a misappropriation of funds. Then we had a clarification meeting. Juanita said, okay, I'm going to cover that, and then it was $1,800, something like $1,800 for Eliza, and then now it's $2,500. Now we're covering Eliza and Erica. So, yes, if Juanita wants to clarify. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, because is this in addition to the regular salary, or is this in lieu of the regular jobs and responsibilities?
We don't know. When we sat in that back room, the eel room with Eliza, and Juanita was part of our meeting when she came in, we were specified we needed one paid person, which Eliza did an awesome job. She was there, same thing. Always, every day, all day, including her birthday. So we were like, that's fine. For Eliza, that's fine. You need a paid staff. She worked really hard. You know, Erica worked really hard too. We just did not know that we were having 2 paid staff members. But I cannot say nothing bad about her at the fireworks. She and her husband were there working day and night, helping us do stuff. So, you know, again, it's just the communication part. It's not that we're jumping to be like, it's a communication. Maybe had we known ahead of time, hey, this is the facts. We need to pay Erica and Eliza. Then we would have been like, okay. Or the teachers are going to get paid. A fundraiser is to raise funds. It is not to pay teachers.
Or staff.
A fundraiser is to make money for the school, to go back to the school, to use for things that the funds should be used for. Had we known this was a summer job, I'm pretty sure a lot of parents would not have volunteered long hours, knowing somebody's going there, maybe not working as hard, and getting paid.
So to clarify, I've actually been talking to other people who were awarded the fireworks, other PTA presidents, and so has Kent. One of them is another school's blessed, but their treasurer is actually the bookkeeper for Monterey County, so they're lucky. And they actually did $42,000 in sales, and their profit was almost $14,000 after all expenses, all paid fees and everything. And they said, it's not the best fundraiser. You only make about 38%. And I said, well, we made 10%. He said, there's something going on there.
So that's just the difference. So I think and then we were told that it's not an OCC fundraiser afterwards, which I don't know. Maybe past OCC members can verify or not, but that's what I was told, that it's never been an OCC fundraiser. So therefore, we don't know about that money, and I think what Maria was saying about the Campout is, if we as OCC made that money, why couldn't that money be used for the Campout? That was one of the things that she had said in regards to that. Again, it's the transparency. My word is transparency. You will always hear me use that word. The reason why, because the more you are transparent with people, the better it is, the better communication it is. Parents always ask me, where does the fundraiser money go? I don't have it. It's not in our account.
So we still don't have the money for the fireworks in our possession, and we still don't have money for the barbecue.
We can talk about that on this.
So we can continue. Yeah.
So that's actually going to be brought up, yes.
So what is your analysis? Seeing that problem, so what is, as a committee, so what is your analysis?
Okay, that's going to be next. So then he said, what is our analysis as a committee? So number 8 on our agenda is the Chase bank account. We were told in the summertime that it would be best to open a Chase bank account, or a bank account, not a Chase, a bank account. OCC used to have a bank with money in there, and somehow it got closed down. I don't know the reasons why, but it got closed down. So it always went to the general fund of the school, and then from the general fund, as you heard, people had to buy stuff and then get reimbursed. Okay, so when it was suggested to us by Juanita that we open a bank account, after the camping incidents, after those incidents, we decided, okay, we do need a bank account. We do need to have access to our own funds when those funds are being used back to where it belongs, to the school, to, like for example, the Campout, all of that stuff. So we went ahead and opened, and so to clarify your question that you said, we said, okay, maybe they're telling us to open a bank account because maybe that's going to make it easier and alleviate. We haven't used our bank account yet, so that was our solution to that problem. But we're not. We're still in limbo. We're not sure.
For you to open an account,
so
the account, because that's the.
So we don't know. I was told by Juanita that we can open an account. We opened an account. For those of you that were at the youth and board meeting, some people were shocked that we had an account. So therefore, I can't answer that for myself. I did what I was told, which was open a bank account. That is the best thing to do. And so that's what we have right now, is the Chase bank account. That was what we felt the most comfortable using after we shopped around for difference. So as of 9/20, September 20th, we do have a Chase account. In this account currently, we have $166.26, which was graciously donated by a couple of parents. So a couple of parents that found out we were going to go open our bank account. Do you have money to allocate in there? No. So they said, here, go and put it towards the OCC. Do you have some questions back here? Him and him. Yes.
It just seems like a lot of times that the issues is just the funds, right? And how to allocate it. Why is it that if you guys would just keep the parents updated on the funds monthly, so that we're always aware of how much is there, rather than like 3 weeks later there's a camp and then there's a fair, and then all of a sudden 2 parents pitched in $40 or $60 or however much it is, and then by the end of it they don't know how much went in. You know what I mean? So if you guys keep the parents in the loop of how much is in the funds monthly, then we'll kind of have a gauge of, okay, we need to save this much for this camp, for this event, whatever it may be, for our children, rather than you guys telling us a week later, hey, we got to raise money for this, and we just donated $40 last week. or whatever the case may be. But it seems like you guys have multiple funds in multiple accounts in multiple areas, rather than just having it be plain and simple, right? It's a small charter school. Keep it simple, one account, keep all the parents there, update them on how much is there in this, let's say, box or this piggy bank, right? So if you just keep it simple, I just feel like it's just complicated. All these different funds, all these different areas. Keep everybody in the same area so we're all aware. I'm sure everybody has an account in Chase, an account in Wells Fargo. Whenever $5 is missing, we're aware right away. So something like that, maybe monthly or every other month. If we're aware of these accounts or this fund, then we'll be able to know how much we'll donate or how much we're at. Rather than come July 4th and we went and did a stand that only got us $2,000, $3,000 and 6 parents had to suffer night and day, these past weeks or whatever it may be.
But I think they just
You made a
found
good
out.
point, and I just want to clarify something really fast. Unfortunately, we just found out the total of what we had at the firework tonight. That was the first time. We were before. I know that the past treasurers had problems getting statements, and so whatever that's part of my clarification is we're going to give at all the OCC meetings what's in the bank and what has been spent. So, but you brought a good point. Yes.
I have a question. When I was president, we did have an OCC checking account at Golden One, and we had funds in that account. What happened to that account? Where did those funds go?
Good question.
Juanita can respond to that.
Yes, per my recommendation to the board gave full permission to members of the OCC to go ahead and be signers of that account so that they could have direct access and immediate access to that account, Golden One. Then we discovered that there were checks being written to let's say, Susie Glow. So if Susie Glow is an OCC member, there were checks written to Susie Glow for $100. And then a month later, the $100 would show up back as a deposit. And we didn't have a receipt for what was going on. So just that alone, I brought it up to the board's attention and said, I don't know, they know the best practice on how to manage this. And I tried, and it's not working, to explain that the monies have to be accounted for. And if you write a check for $30, the receipts have to add up to $30, not $28.05. So even if it's a few cents, we have to account it for. So they made the decision to close the account, transfer the funds to the Oasis account at Rabobank. So to answer your question is, the money is in the Oasis account at Rabobank, and per the board's request in action item, one of those meetings, the account was closed. Juan went and the president and closed the account. That would be something for the board to decide. I can't speak for them.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
I asked if the money that was put in the Oasis account in Rabobank was going to be deposited back into the OCC's new account. Because I don't believe it's appropriate for the youth and board or the Oasis to take the money that was designated for OCC. I understand that there was some issues with what was going on, but I know that you know what that amount was in the account.
I believe it was almost $40,000.
That money should go back to the OCC, I feel. That's my vote.
Yeah, that's your director.
Okay, so do we have any more questions?
So since we have an account now for OCC, can we just make donations to that OCC account? As parents, we do a fundraiser where we're donating money to that account so that we can fund it. While you guys figure out what you're gonna do with this $40K that wasn't spent already. Is that something we can do? Because I'll give you $100 right now if we can do it. So I'll donate 100. And I'm sure there's other parents that will donate it because they know specifically where this money is going to. So is that something we can do? Because I don't want to put my $100 where I think I know it's going to go towards, and then all of a sudden it ends up back in the fiscal budget.
Yeah, so we do have a bank account, and upon his instructions, we found a way to open it. So we had to apply for our own federal tax ID number. So yes, if you guys want to donate to help the OCC, you're welcome to do that. And me as a new me as an OCC member can't do anything yet, but Kat as the president can receive those funds, absolutely.
Okay, so I just want to clarify that I know the $40,000 amount has been thrown out there. I have asked Donna Strong and Suzanne to go back and look at the Oasis fundraising events and amount collected so that we can do a breakdown per year. So the $40,000 wasn't all OCC's money. I just want you to all be aware. Those monies were not all OCC's monies, but we'll be doing, again, a report back to you all and to the board about the monies collected per year going back. That request came in this morning and I'm going to work on that. I spoke with Donna Strong as well as with Suzanne to make sure we have that accounting.
And please make sure you have all supporting documentation, so copies of statements. And
Going back how far?
They're gonna go back 2 years, whoever.
I requested 5 years.
Actually, it has to be further because it was since, what, 3-4 years?
I'm sorry.
4 years.
For the conversation I had with you, Juanita, earlier, and I apologize, but I requested 5 years, correct? 4 years. Okay, but, okay.
That money won't show up in the further 2 years. I know because I've been in the OCC since 4 or 5 years ago. And so that has to be 4 or 5 years ago because we didn't have that kind of money. We did not have that kind of money when I went into the OCC at all. So I know it's not going to be on there.
You have one person over here first.
So let me take you back years when I was the treasurer and Rhonda and myself and Dawn went to the Houston board and asked for our account. We got an account and they gave us a loan of $50,000 to put into that account. After we established money, we had signed a paper said that $50,000 goes back to the Houston board, which it was never given back. So we were down to 40. So we were actually in the hole $10,000 from that account.
So it just sounds like you shouldn't have a problem supplying the documentation to track all that, however many years your parents are requesting.
History of where those 40,000
like the overview.
It's actually was in the hole 10 because we owe the Houston.
Okay, so let's provide documents.
If we can get documentation, again, transparency. Always something has to be the proof. You cannot just say something and pull it out of the air. It has to have proof, and that's always been my thing. You're making a statement, where's the proof to back that statement up? We need that. Why? Because parents are working hard. The school is for the parents and the children. We're working hard, and this is how parents get frustrated. They don't want to volunteer anymore because, well, where's the money going? Well, what's happening? And we don't want that. This is my first year as president, and this is definitely not how I want to spend my term as president. And I have 2 years. I am extremely passionate about this school, extremely. I cannot tell you how many hours I have spent of my summertime trying to do sheets for the school, how many hours I have spent trying to put things together. I do the all-family dance. Why? Because we didn't have a dance for the kids. If I was not passionate about this school, trust me that I would not be staying up for hours doing things that I do. I would not be making pony holders for the girls in volleyball for my kids. If I was not passionate about this school, I would not be up here when my child is at home right now with walking pneumonia. The truth of the matter is, all I want is for there to be transparency and clarity between staff, administration, OCC, and parents, because this school is supposed to be a community, and that is exactly what I want to see, a community, to where I made that little board right there to tell you how much we have fundraised. But I have not been able to give you a number because I don't get that number myself. If I had that information, trust that I would share. I have nothing to hide. I will print receipts to let you see where the money has gone. The transparency for me is a huge thing. And so all I ask is for staff, for Juanita, for Houston Board, for members, for parents, for children, for us to do this for our kids, for the school, because this is why this school is different. This is why we're not like other schools. And in order for that to happen, we all have to unite and we all have to be together. And that is very important. So that was on the personal note. Thank you guys.
I do have something to say. you know, you say you might have 40,000. Even if you had 500 left for the campground, for the kids, for the parents, you know, watermelon and water, really? You feed these people because guess what? Children come to the school, they enjoy the school, the parents are happy. But you know, it's a campout. You guys don't want to give them a little bit of money that was left so they could, you know, I was there one night. Parents brought food and waters and everything, strawberries. Parents worked every day. They got out late and they went over there and they took their food as much as they could take because you guys couldn't buy it for them. You know, they donate their time. So give. And wherever the money's at, find it, put it back in the account so that parents don't have to struggle either. There's a lot of parents that struggle in this school because they have to work hard. And they could give. But if we could collect it and have fundraisers and have it, why not? So think about the money, give it back.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to our number 9. Thank you guys, by the way, thank you. So number 9, we have a Believe fundraiser. This will be my first year doing the Believe fundraiser, and we're actually gonna go ahead and start passing these out on Friday. Believe, we've done it last year and the previous years, and it made $1,719.81. And so it'll be a take-home catalog. And because we had so much participation from parents, they went ahead and sent 2 boxes of incentive prizes. And they also sent a thank you scooter, which I will ask for input for later, if we should give it to the highest seller, if we can sell raffle tickets to raffle it off at the Harvest Feast, or use it for an auction item for the gala. And so we'll go ahead and bring that up at another meeting, but just to let parents know that on Friday, these will be going out. And yes, Anita?
Is this a school-wide fundraiser or is this specifically an OCC fundraiser?
Actually, the whole school is gonna get this, but the checks are to be made out to the OCC. Okay. We have not been told, again, with the money thing, we have not been told if we're gonna get the funds for the fireworks, the funds for the barbecue. That has not been discussed, so I cannot give that answer. But as far as this fundraiser, we are having them do the OCC, so the check should be made out to Oasis Charter. Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart.
Oasis Community Council.
Oasis Community Council, sorry, my brain is. And so then we'll send that out. So that is for that. And then I'm gonna table the teacher wish list because it's still working and I don't have a lot of input from the teachers on that. And then we're gonna talk really fast about our vision boards. We wanted to do a vision board over here. When we went, some of the members were able to go to the youth and retreat. I really liked when they had these vision boards and they asked parents or the participants different questions. So all of these things, I'm gonna just read a couple. Like, what would you do to motivate your child to do better? Somebody said, keep learning and improve more his and her grades to make Oasis look good. Be more involved. Encourage them to be involved in everything. And somebody said consistency with homework studies, make it fun to learn. Somebody else said, for what would you like Oasis to have that it doesn't? Consistent staffing. And that's actually in a couple of them. Better playground and communication with parents from all staff. We actually are going to get a new playground. So hopefully by the end of this year. And somebody put less fundraising and need of donations. Asphalt parking lot, bigger playgrounds. Somebody asked, a parent, what can I do to make Oasis better? Volunteer and show up at school events, fundraise, volunteer, get involved, assist to meetings, volunteer, and be involved, volunteer, I can. So just to let you know, you guys can always volunteer. There's so many ways to volunteer, not only with OCC fundraising. If you talk to the teacher ahead of time, you can volunteer in there too. On cleaning days, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you can come and supervise the kids cleaning. So there's different ways you can get involved in the school. What do you like best about Oasis? Community atmosphere, differentiated, I can't say that word. Different instruction, small class size, avid, the teachers, kids environment or community. What would you like OCC funds to be used for? To help parents learn how to help their students. Scholarship funds, play structure, play group, equipment, parent education, So we have going on more field trips. We have a little bit of everything, and so we are going to take all of these, and then we're going to go ahead and I will type up something and send it out and post it on Parent Square. I think it's important because we all are here for a reason. We all have our kids, so we believe in this school. So that's that, and then cleaning the school. I know some parents have had concerns about the school the kids cleaning the school. I can tell you about my experience. I actually came, I think it was a Tuesday. My daughter, who's walking in right now, say hi, Mia. She's in 5th grade, and then they had cleaning, and I got to supervise that day. I wanted to see, hey, what's going on? What are they cleaning? How are they doing? And so I got to supervise them in the bathroom, and I saw my daughter just wipe down, and I was telling the kids, you know, just wipe down the sink, wipe down where people touch. They were all wearing gloves. What I saw on the outside, kids were just picking up garbage, and here they got a little too happy with the spraying stuff, spraying the tables. They were wet, but they were doing something. So I've had a lot of parents ask, you know, what my thoughts were. I can only speak for myself personally. I'm not going to speak as the OCC president, but myself. I didn't see my daughter's class that they did anything wrong. It was okay with me. I know some parents have had different concerns, different experiences, but it is open for you to come and supervise your children, and you can see what they're doing. You can ask questions. You just have to speak to their teachers to see what schedule the teacher has when they're going to clean. Teacher Josie wants to say something. So that's my personal experience with the cleaning.
Well, as she gets there, just to make it a little more efficient, I also came to volunteer yesterday to observe the cleaning. And my first concern with the cleaning is it's an hour. They spend an hour a day. It's 4 hours, so each class spends 4 hours. And considering our school academically is still struggling so much, you know, I'm very active in the youth and board meetings. So when I see numbers like 20% of our students are only performing at grade level, 30% are at math, 40%, I don't know those exact numbers, but I get them for you. I'm sure the administration can provide that. It makes me sad that, now I understand their life skills, but I'd like to see that time dedicated to educating our children, and I understand that is definitely a life skill. But I think at this point, when we're still struggling academically for our children, it's crucial that our main focus is on that. I mean, you can have them do art, dance, something else, but cleaning doesn't, to me, seem like a valid use of the kids' time. And you know, Juanita's going to share, I actually went to Japan. I actually cleaned schools in Japan. I spent 3 weeks over there, and yes, you know, they perform great and they do good, and that's part of what they do. I also witnessed students asleep in class, so I was shocked with that. Yeah, they're highly driven people, and they go to school and their focus is that. So me, personally, I'd like to see all of your kids, including my kids, get as much academic time or things that are going to make an impact in their lives. Now, I think it's all your responsibility to teach your kids to clean up after themselves. But I don't think it's the school's responsibility to teach that. I would say clean your classroom, clean this, but I wouldn't say 4 hours of possible other time is inappropriate. But that is only my opinion. And Teacher Josie?
I wanted to share that each class is responsible for an assembly, and we are sharing what our learning to the community, and then the class on Wednesday, and then the week following is when they have that responsibility. And then I also wanted to share that with this learning, that we teach how to clean the classroom as a teacher, you know, that is our home, and that by taking responsibility for the school, it's also our home, and therefore it's internal. And so I appreciate this opportunity to share that.
So again, we are all people, humans, parents, so we all have different opinions, and that's okay. Some of us are okay with it, some of us are not. That doesn't make anything right or wrong, but I do suggest if you have questions, Juanita would be the person to speak with. And definitely, I strongly encourage you to come and take a look when it's your child's turn, class turn to come and clean up, that you come and help out and take a look and see. Because our eyes are better instead of the kids telling us to.
I just had one comment. My name is Tony Farias. I'm a community member, and I've spent well over 10 years as a professional health and safety inspector. I actually inspected a lot of the schools here in the Monterey County area, as well as Santa Cruz and San Benito County. And I got to tell you that from a health and safety perspective, having kids handle chemicals is putting the school at a huge liability. There's a lot of chemicals out there. I don't know what type of chemicals are being used, but if you read the labels on the chemical bottles itself, it says clearly, keep out of reach of children. And there's a lot of training that's also required for people that are handling chemicals, not only how to use the chemicals, but the personal protective equipment, making sure they're not breathing in the chemicals, things of that sort. So, I mean, as a parent myself of little children, I don't even have my kids handle chemicals at home, you know, and if they do, it's very supervised and it's very minimal, you know. So it's just something to keep in mind. If it were me, you know, I'd do whatever possible to see if we can get a staff member that's properly trained on how to use these chemicals so that we're not putting our children at risk. Thank you.
So any questions you guys have with the cleaning, please go ahead and address them to Juanita. And she can better answer what we use and tell you which class does when, right? Okay, so that would be the person you would address those cleaning concerns with is Juanita.
Juanita, usted ya me conoce bien. Usted me mira siempre aquí en la escuela, pero yo vine el día de ayer porque esta semana le toca la clase de mi niña. Me dio tristeza mirar que se ocupa una hora para limpiar. Se agarra por grupos de niños. A mí me tocó el área de juegos y aquí a la orilla. Yo soy experta en limpieza, yo trabajé y trabajo en limpieza comercial y yo miré al igual que él videos de lo peligroso que es hasta veces el papel de baño que te sube en la nariz, ¿sí me entiendes? Entonces, es triste mirar esto con nuestros hijos aquí. Yo fui con una maestra, le hice una pregunta, le dije que ella qué opinaba de este sistema que se estaba implementando. Ella me contestó que ella lo miraba bien. Yo le dije que ella diera su punto de vista, pero le dije también yo voy a dar mi punto de vista como padre. Y no nomás represento a mi hija, yo represento a todos los niños, porque me preocupa su educación. Primero es la educación. Segundo es una enfermedad que puedan agarrar dentro de aquí de lo que se tira, porque hasta allá cuando se tira tiene bacterias. Sí traen guantes, pero no tiene nada para cubrirse su nariz, por aquí pueden entrar muchas enfermedades. Entonces, ella me dijo que lo miraba bien. Yo la escuché y respeto la opinión de todos y respeto lo que hayas implementado, pero sí te voy a pedir de favor que escuches lo que decimos los padres, ya sea bueno o malo, pero que siempre tomes en cuenta hacer una mejor elección. Ella me dijo que ella lo miraba bien, que porque muchos padres no enseñaban a sus hijos a ser responsables. Yo la dejé que hablara, yo le dije al último, esa no es tu responsabilidad ni tuya ni de administración, educar a nuestros hijos en cómo van a ser responsables, eso nos toca a cada padre. Dijo, pero es que no todos los padres lo hacen, no vamos a cambiar al mundo, eso nos toca a cada uno, lo que queramos ver de nuestros hijos. Aquí a ustedes lo que les pertenece es lo académico, lo emocional para esos niños. Es una escuela pequeña, que puede ser una escuela excelente, y lo vamos a lograr, porque yo sé que se va a escuchar nuestra voz, porque es la voz de nuestros hijos. Es triste, yo espero que sí tomes acción en esto y hagas un cambio en esto. En mi opinión mía personal, no lo miro bien para los niños, porque ese tiempo se debe de implementar. Yo le dije a la maestra, yo no estoy estudiada, pero tú eres la educadora, administración sabe bien. Sí, a mí no me tienes que decir, le dije, si tienes ciertos niños que están bajos en matemáticas, en lectura, en lo que sea, tú sabes cuáles son, ese tiempo lo deberían de implementar para darles extra soporte, en vez de que se queden una hora más después de escuela. Yo que voy a las clases de los psicólogos, han recomendado que un niño, es exagerado que esté tanto tiempo en la escuela, es demasiado dañino para ellos, porque son niños. Se les tiene que dar un poquito de libertad. Están los niños desde las 8:15 hasta las 4:30 o 4:45. Y no es justo que se les dé una hora más extra para apoyarlos cuando se les puede dar dentro de esa hora que están tomando para limpiar, pero que de verdad se les dé. Que de verdad se les dé, que se demuestre ya que esta escuela se va a levantar académicamente, porque es muy pequeña como para que no se mire que se puede levantar académicamente. Yo nomás te pido que tomes eso en cuenta, de que hagas un poquito de cambios, pueden ser 15 minutos limpiar, pero óyeme, un grupo limpia esta parte, a ver padres, un grupo de niños limpia esta parte está grandísima, la primera semana tengo entendido se trapeó, ¿ok? Otro grupo se mete a los baños, otro grupo allá afuera como a mí me tocó. Yo estoy de acuerdo que se haga la limpieza y que se hagan responsables de su salón, eso me parece excelente, de su propio salón. Pero de toda la escuela, la oficina van para allá también y agarran reciclaje y se lo traen. Yo miré otra cosa que observé hace 2 semanas y a mí no me gustó. Yo voy a las clases de Overloya. Ellos te dicen, enseña a ser a tus hijos responsables de ellos mismos. De que si van a comer, son responsables de lavar su plato. Pero no esperes que te lo hagan perfecto. Los vas a poner que te ayuden a barrer, pero no esperes que te lo hagan perfecto, ¿ok? Yo miré hace 2 semanas que una maestra regresó al grupito de niños y de niñas que traía aquí limpiando, los regresó para atrás a que dejaran perfecto el área. ¿Eso tú lo permitirías como directora sabiendo lo que es Overloya? Yo te dejo eso a ti para que analices todo eso. Las evidencias las tienes en tus propios videos que se graban aquí en tus cámaras. Lo puedes observar. Es todo, gracias.
I'm going to briefly try and remember what was said. So Maria said that she observed a couple things. She comes to the 11 Logic classes, and so 11 Logic to her, if we're teaching it and we are supposed to be using it with our kids, and we are teaching it, they are being taught to parents, that one time she observed that in the 11 Logic, they tell you a child can go ahead and clean. It doesn't have to be perfect. The point is that they're helping you. Yet she observed a teacher that returned the child when they cleaned a spot because it wasn't clean enough for that teacher's liking. So she said, how is that love and logic? So she's just asking the director to think about that. She doesn't agree with the cleaning. She thinks that the education is more important than the cleaning. She's okay with kids cleaning the classroom, however, not the whole school. That the first week that they cleaned, that they mopped here, she says there's a lot of germs in the bathroom, and so she's not okay with that. There's a lot of, she's gone to classes where the chemicals and I guess like all the other bad stuff is in there and it's not good for the kids. So in a nutshell, that's what I remember she said.
I just have a question. I may have missed it, I don't know, but I never knew it was an hour they were cleaning if they were cleaning the whole school. I thought individually, because when I went to Japan, I was an exchange student, we cleaned the school, but we cleaned our classroom. So our ownership was within just that classroom, and we didn't spend an hour. We spent like maybe 10 minutes at the end of the day, because you have 30 students that are there cleaning. You're able to do that amount of time, you know, within 10 minutes you take care of your classroom. So was this shared that it was an hour? Because I had no idea.
Juanita, do you want to address
I might have missed that. I thought the cleaning, because I was like, oh, the cleaning's great. I participated, I thought it was great, but I'd spent an hour. I mean, I just don't know, I mean, was that communicated that it was an hour? I may have missed it, because there's a lot of emails. I'm just asking.
I'm not sure. I don't know if it's at the discretion of each teacher, how long they spend, or how long it was implemented. You can ask Juanita. Did you want to answer that?
Hey, do you understand Spanish?
Maybe you could just update on Parent Square, just like what is happening. I assumed it was the classroom, and I was like, woohoo, yeah, that's a great idea. But yeah,
So maybe something on Parent Square stating what they clean, how long they clean, when they clean. I know they clean every day except for Wednesdays.
Yes.
So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
So it's 4 hours a week.
So I would, again, any of the concerns I can't answer. I just can tell you what I've observed from my own daughter's class, but the correct person to ask is Juanita.
I just have a quick question. I know the kids have always picked up after themselves, but what caused it to be to the point where kids are now cleaning for an hour? Is the school not being cleaned by somebody to the point where our children have to be wiping and mopping the floors and tables and cleaning outside? Do we not have people that are hired to be doing that? Just because other schools, they do have janitors, they do have landscapers, they do have, so is that something that our funding does not have money for?
So I can answer what I know. And what I know, we do have janitors. We have Amparo and we have, I forgot the other people's name, but we do have janitors. What I remember, the reason why it was brought up, I attended one of the youth board meetings and somebody had said, you know, there's a lot of garbage out in the playground. And there is. I've been here, I volunteered, and kids tend to just throw their garbage. So they said, wouldn't it be nice if we can just bring a program to where the kids can pick up after themselves to learn that, hey, this is your home. You're here from the morning until the afternoon, some of them even until the evening, to pick up and be responsible to clean. You know, again, I can't answer for everybody. I can tell you what my daughter told me, and my daughter was taking so much pride in cleaning the bathroom walls. And I was like, if you're gonna do that here in school, I hope you do that at my house. Because she was taking so much pride in cleaning here, you know? I mean, there's so many concerns. Like I said, I can only answer from my personal experience, and that was that. I know we have janitors. Again, any other concerns definitely would have to be with Juanita. I don't know the details to everything else. So we're gonna go ahead and move on if there's no more questions. Oh, yes.
Now that it's being brought up about cleaning, I got something on my heart that has been eating my... I'm gonna explain you what happened. And about a month ago, it was a Friday that was off Teacher's Day, something like that, I remember. That week, and on Wednesday, I talked to, or Tuesday, I talked to my daughter's teacher, Jessica, if that was okay to come that day that there was no school, if that was okay for me to come and clean the carpet. She told me that was for her, that it was okay, that you can come, just let the office know, and so the door will be open, or somebody will be here at the school. What happened that I went to the office and I talked to Melanie, and she said that was fine. I asked her if I had to notify somebody else. She said, no, that was fine. As far as Teacher Jessica was okay with that, it was fine. So, Friday came by, and I was here around 1 o'clock. Oh my gosh, it made me feel really sad that you guys probably, some parents know, I just went through surgery last Friday, my third one. And to me that come and do all this for my daughter, I do it because my daughter, for the school, because I got faith that the Oasis school that I knew when I first began coming here 3 years ago, I would like to, I got faith that it's gonna be again the happiness in the parents. Well, that day I was here, I brought my shampoo machine to clean it, and I got told that nobody was there, that the door was closed. And I asked her, are you sure that there is no way that I can get into that room? She said, no, everybody already is gone. There is no key for it. I can assure you that there is a master key to open those doors. And this is the reason that most of the parents, my gosh, it is sad that they don't want to come and volunteer. It is sad. And now that it's being brought up, the cleaning of the kids and all that, I would like to see there is a way that we can get along, everybody. Why is that some people wants to cooperate with the school and what's going on?
Sorry, Armando, nomás para, just to clarify, you were told that they didn't have a key to enter?
Yes.
Who told you that? I'm sorry.
Melanie?
Wait, so there was no key to enter the room?
Yes.
On Friday teacher work day? Okay, just wanted to clarify.
I'm sure that there is a master key. 100% sure that it's a master key. What makes me sad is that, like I told you in the beginning, I make my effort to do my part and to come and get a slam the door on my face. It is sad. Please, we need to change our way, the way to see the things, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Armando. So we're moving on. Thank you very much.
Yes, next is the playground.
Yay, the playground. So we're excited. The USIN board gave me and Kat authorization and timelines to get a new playground going. I was hoping to get two proposals from two different companies. The reason it came about was that the administration only got one or two estimates, and at the end of the day I questioned, I said it's better to get multiple proposals so we can make sure we're getting the best deal for our kids and the best bang for our buck. So they gave me and Kat the opportunity to step in. I requested two additional ones. They asked for a report on this last USIN meeting. Unfortunately, the companies told me they needed 2 more weeks, so we're still waiting for that. But we're really excited. As soon as I get those proposals from them, I'm going to try to get the kids involved, get some posters printed out. If anybody's interested in assisting me with the playground or has questions or knowledge, you can come see me. I'll give you guys my number right now as soon as we're done with this. And let's see. So we got time frames for delivery and installation. So it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for us to get a new playground once it's approved, and we still got permits and things like that. But the administration, USIN's goal was to have it done over winter break. I've asked 3 different companies for proposal based on different students and possible ocean things. All the proposals are going to include state contractors already installed price. We have a company that Juanita received a quote for, and they're the only people that provide that brand of equipment. So we're just looking for different alternatives. So I'm looking for people who want to help. I'm full-time employed, so it's and so I'm doing my best to dedicate the time. But if you guys want to help on board, I'd love input and comments on that. And my goal is to have it in the next, probably this week we'll probably have one, and then the other one, second proposal by 2. Then we'll start getting kids' input so they can vote on it, and you guys can tell me about it. I honestly could use some help and some input from that. And safety coordinator. Safety coordinator over here. Yes, he's a certified playground safety inspector. So I appreciate you guys' time with that. If you guys have any questions on the playground, the school has allocated, the USIN board has graciously allocated $100,000 to the new playground. So I'm asking for proposals less than that and equal to that, to try and get the best bang for our buck. Does anybody have any questions on the playground?
All right, thank you guys. Thank you for that update. Nutrition, you want to talk briefly about
Sure. So I've Salinas Advocacy Council, something along those lines. They offer to do, these are different things that we'll be proposing to Juanita, but one of the things they do is they reach out to communities and they offer a 5-week course on nutrition for families and for kids. So I invited them to come, give us a presentation in the future so Juanita can decide if that's something that will be allowed here. And so that's something about the nutrition.
It just would be great if we can all like get better ideas instead of just sandwiches for lunch for our kids every time. So we think that that would be something awesome. So if you guys ever have any suggestions like that, that would help not only our school, our kids, but us as parents, because who's tired of making sandwiches? I know I am. I'm like, what else can I give you? So this would be something good to help us to maybe implement something for lunch for the kids. And if you guys have ideas, I think that's where us as a community can work together. You can say, hey, why not pack this, or I make this. That's it. Okay, so Juanita will address certain items. So thank you guys, and here's Juanita.
Okay, so some of the items that I have here listed were brought up to my attention by the community. And so the fundraising funds, again, is something that the USEM board and the OCC will have to discuss and decide how that's going to all work out. I don't have an answer for you. It is not my place to tell you how that's going to all work out. The USEM board has to decide and make a decision on that. So for the fundraising funds that were previously collected, as well as the ones for the future. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that part. Also, something else that was brought up to my attention was the membership of the OCC. The questions were, and the bylaws are being rewritten. There's going to be an updated version. I guess there's copies. I saw copies of the bylaws there, and they are being drafted. Or updated, I should say. Updated, and they will be brought back to the USEM board. The USEM board has to approve any and all changes made to the bylaws of the OCC. So the two questions that were asked was, how many members of the same family can run for a voting position of the OCC? And I said, there's nothing in the bylaws that prohibit anything that specifies how many voting members from the same family can run for any of the positions. I said, so right now it's going to be probably addressed in the next draft. And they also said, can there be something, or is there something in the bylaws about disclosure of the relationship of any candidates, of their relationship to any current OCC members? And I said, there's nothing in there, but it can be included probably. So these are things that I thank you for bringing it up to our attention, that will most likely be addressed and hopefully included in the next updated draft. Oh.
So I can clarify that for you. So what actually that lingo means is that, I don't know if you guys know, but I just ran for OCC Treasurer. And my wife is Ruthie, so I guess it was a concern that we were both in the same family. She opted to stand up and ask for your guys' vote during the OCC meeting. So I'm not sure who the community members who are concerned with that, but we don't actually, as treasurer, we're not going to give parents money. Everything is really transparent. So we're not going to add anything to our bylaws regarding, I don't feel like it's right for me to make a law to accommodate my wife. It's okay for family members to sit on boards as long as there's not some kind of financial conflict. And my wife doesn't, she's going to support the school anyways. If any of you have concerns, my wife is here, and that's a concern raised by the community, is that's my wife. So, we're all for the betterment of the school, and if anyone ever has an issue, feel free. I'm a big guy, but I'm not that scary. You guys can always address it to us, or if you think there's anything illegal about it.
Not illegal, but I think it's conflict of interest.
Yeah, well,
it definitely speaks to another point about the administration here, because you do have family members working at the school and that are employed by other family members too. So it's a good question, because you want to follow that within your OCC. You know, it's a really good question about family working, and I'm a community member. I haven't met any other community members, so I would really be interested to know who gave you that input, if it wasn't staff or parents. But I attended the last board meeting, and it was brought up to the attention about nepotism and what does it mean when you have families involved in running a school and administration. And one of your, I think it's Mike, one of the founding members, reiterated that the school was, built by family members. So the idea isn't to not have family members, but what relationship do they have when it comes to money and a decision making? And so when you have somebody who is your employee, who's also your family member, you have to really be careful about that. When you have somebody involved in a committee and they're approving funds, you have to account for that. And the question here is, do you guys really have an issue with family members voting within the OCC if there's no monetary exchange, there's no reprimand that's going to happen. They're not going to get demoted or promoted depending on how they vote. And that's a concern that a lot of other school districts have when it comes to staff and employees, and there are rules and regulations for that, but I think that's a good question.
And so I guess the question from the community member wasn't so much when the community members, I should say, there were two of them, and when they came to me, it wasn't that they were concerned, they were wondering, is this something that is in the bylaws? Or is there some information about that? So, and I told them that we would look into it, and that there was the update.
It says concerns right here.
Okay, so they were wondering, and yeah, stated as a concern. So I guess they were just talking about the disproportionality of the 20% votes for any decision making is lays with one family, or the other 80% with the rest of the members. There's 10 members and 2 are from the same family. And that's what they were wondering about. Again, the OCC and the USM board will have to discuss that. I'm not here to debate that. I'm just here to let you know that we heard your concern or your wonderings, and we will make sure that it's addressed. That's all.
So who writes the bylaws? Is it UCN or is it the OCC?
The OCC writes the draft of the bylaws, and then they bring it before the board, the USM board, and the board can make changes to it before it's fully and finally approved.
So the board can insert a bylaw that they feel is
necessary
just and necessary based on 2 people's comments? Or will they put it out to the group and see if it's necessary? Because I kind of feel like it's a little antiquated to think that a husband and wife can't share separate ideology and opinions. And I think as progressive as we are, we would think that somebody's spouse or cousin would have their own opinions and not be driven by, whoever in the household they think makes the decisions. So I just feel like we don't need to arbitrarily make 2 decisions. I work for a place where we have a cooperative and there's 7 members, and you'll have 2 people try to steer the show, and say, well, I heard 2 people, but we have a collective of 3,000 people. And sometimes policies are made based on 2 people's opinions and not a collective as a group. So I'm hoping that the USEN keeps that in mind and not just say, because I could have 3 people right now here say, family members should be on the board because you participate, you should have an equal voice. Just because you happen to cohabitate together doesn't mean you should be denied the right for that. So I'm sure there's 2, maybe 4 other people in here that might feel the same way, and if we still have our board members here. So now you know that there's a vast array of opinion, and that we shouldn't just make bylaws based on assumptions. We should actually survey the group and see, is this indeed a concern or is it just 2 people?
Right. So the draft from the OCC comes to the USM board. Administration will also give some recommendations to the board, and it's also run by the Oasis legal counsel to make sure it's clear. So, but I'm sure they will address that.
No, that's okay, Juanita. So every time that the parents have an opinion about bylaws, so you're going to take that motion or that comments to be amend the bylaws?
No, absolutely not. It's just that they're in the process of doing that already. They were in the process of updating their bylaws from what I understood before the last USEN board meeting. I heard that the bylaws were being updated. They were being updated already.
No, because my question is normally those bylaws need to be amended every year or every 2 years or every 3 years, wherever when the school board was elected at that point. That's the constitution, that's the school constitution. That needs to be updated at that point, not at the middle of the year. That's it, in my experience, that's what
I can answer that really fast. The last time that our actual bylaws were updated was in 2012. So they have not been updated. Obviously, there's things on there that are not pertinent anymore to OCC, and so we're updating them. The concern that Juanita brought up is a concern, and she suggested, and again, we can write our bylaws, and the USEN board can decide to change something on it or suggest anything. But definitely, I hear you, Kathy, on people having the right to have their own vote. Just like we can have staff members on the OCC and they can have a vote, it's the same as parents. Parents work and they should be able to vote. So we will amend our bylaws to what we have and then present it to the USEN board. If you guys are more than welcome to come to the USEN board meetings and hear and opinionate also. Okay.
So the monthly USEN board meetings, okay. So monthly, there is USEN board meetings on the last Tuesday of each month. So the last Tuesday of each month, there is a USEN board meeting, and USEN.
It's the 24th.
The 24th is this month. Oh yes, with the exception of this month because it's Halloween. Yes, that is correct. It's Halloween. So they didn't want to meet on Halloween, so they are meeting on the 24th. Thank you for reminding me. I totally forgot it was Halloween. So they're meeting in the USEN Inc. is a non-profit group that has under its umbrella Oasis, and they could have other projects as well, but right now they only have Oasis as one of their projects. Who's responsible for this? So what I'm wondering for the OCC voting and alternate members, who is responsible for coming to the USEN board and reporting about the OCC's areas that need to be discussed. So who is going to be doing that? Who will attend and report back? Report back to this group? And when will that person be expected to report? Would it be during a regular meeting that I'm wondering about? And when speaking before the board, the person needs to state whether that whatever they're saying, if they're speaking for themselves or if they're speaking for the OCC on behalf of the OCC. So that needs to be clear, because I was very unclear at the last meeting. Who were they representing? Themselves, their families, and the family's interest, or the OCC's interest? So those
Do you want me to answer the beginning?
Yes, please.
Okay, so who is responsible for the USEN board? So in the past, people have trickled in and out of the USEN board meetings. I got really active in there, and I have been to almost every single meeting, as Augustine and Mike can tell you. And why? Because I want to be informed. And so, me being the president, I will try my best to be at all the meetings. And there will always be another OCC member. So that's either myself or somebody else. But I'm always almost there unless it's an emergency. And who will report back to the OCC? I will, or the other OCC member that attends in case I cannot make it will report back. And when we will do that, since the last Tuesday is the USEN board meeting, and our OCC meeting is the first Tuesday of the month, It only is a couple days difference, so there's no need to call a special meeting for that unless it's a complete emergency. And so we will go ahead and report back to the OCC in regards to what was spoken at the Youth and Board meeting, if there was certain handouts or anything that the OCC wanted us to bring to the Youth and Board, then we would go ahead and report what we found out, what was talked about, and any questions that they had that they needed answered. So that kind of said everything, right? Oh, and then we will make sure that we are more clear when we talk of who we are talking about. If it's for myself, as I've stated earlier, this is my personal, or if I'm talking as a president, and I will make sure, well, everybody's here, right, from the OCC. So when you do go to the board meetings, and that goes for everybody, if we can state who we are representing, whether it's ourselves or the OCC, that would be helpful for everybody.
Great, so these questions are in response to me and Kat going to the board meeting and addressing the board. Now, as a OCC member and organizer of things like the Campout or the fireworks, I took the initiative upon myself as a, as your elected representative to speak on behalf of us of the injustices that I saw. So I think that's where that question is coming from. Now, if just like any representative, any board member, they represent a certain body. Now, as a collective, if the administration is asking us, everyone, do you guys agree with this point? Well, we can do that. We can definitely have open communication. I'm glad she brought it to our attention. We can inform you more of other situations we're having. That way, you guys could say, you know what, that doesn't represent mine. Or, but I did take it upon myself to share my frustrations with fireworks, different things that that injustices. So that's where that question is stemming from. So I apologize if I have my notes for everything I addressed to the youth center. I actually checked it out because I forget everything. So I can provide that to everybody. And anything that you share that you think is not a concern, I would gladly clarify that for the Youth and Board.
Okay, thank you. There is a draft here of the OCC bylaws, so I'm going to pass them out so you can grab a copy, and we can make extra copies if necessary. We can also post them if necessary so that you can have a copy of the bylaws. So those are not the final? They're not the final, no, it's a draft. It's a draft. By no means is the final, or the board is ready to see them at this point. So yeah, that is clear. Non-profit boards versus school district boards. Okay, there is a little bit of confusion about non-profit boards and school boards. And I want to just give you the 2-minute presentation of my understanding. School boards are governed by certain regulations, and those regulations come from the California Department of Education. Some of that applies to Oasis, and some of it doesn't. Charter schools are different by nature. So, when school districts have their board meetings, we follow the Brown Act. That applies, for instance. It applies to us, it applies to the Alisal or to the Salinas City District or to any other district. And for nonprofits, we are governed by the corporations law. There is a corporations law that governs nonprofits, and that's what they need to follow as well. Not everything that applies to a school board applies to the Youth and Board, but many things do, but not all things. And the Brown Act is one of the ones that applies to both. Okay, so. Again, I know there is probably a lot of information that can be shared right now. Is 8:25. So if you want to have a one-on-one conversation, we can definitely do that. But I do want to make sure to tell you that they are different. Okay. The Youth and Board will be having upcoming elections soon. There is 2 board members whose term. One of them expired in September, the other one in October. But there's 2 more that also expired. So there'll be 4 positions right now that they'll be electing that. For instance, for a school board, they have regions. They say region 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one person or 5 people from that region can run for that position when that position's up.
In a public election.
In a public election of a school board. Alizal, and I've mentioned Alizal because it's a chartered entity. For the USEM board, there is an application that you submit to the USEM board. You come in and do a presentation to the USEM board about your reasons why you are the perfect fit to be a member of the USEM board. And then, at the next meeting, so you submit your application, it's posted on the agenda. At the next meeting, you do a presentation. Following that meeting, they hold elections amongst themselves and they do voting amongst themselves.
Even those members that are up for election, and in your case, you have 4.
Yes.
Are going to be voting. So in essence, all of the current members are going to be the ones evaluating if anybody new can come into your board.
The board can decide how many members, according to the bylaws, the membership would be 5 to 10 max. 5 as a minimum, 10 as a max. They've had 4 in the past, 5, 8 at one point, and 7 right now. 7? Yeah, 7. So the board can decide, we need to bring 3 more people that have this expertise in these areas. And we pass out applications, and we've done that many, many times.
But that's different, adding numbers versus if I'm leaving, I get to evaluate whether I want to vote for somebody to replace me.
The board, again, if somebody wants to run again and be re-elected, they have to state it, that they're interested.
And they vote for themselves, and they can still vote for themselves. Do they have a vote if they're up for re-election?
They will be holding elections for the 4 positions, not all at once.
So this is one of those key differences compared to a public school board, is that the current members, they can vote in the public election for whomever they choose.
Right.
But in this case, the same board can say, 4 of us are up for election, but we're not going anywhere. New people can come in, but we can just vote for ourselves to continue on permanently. And you guys will never, ever see a change unless they self-elect to leave. And if they're the ones responsible for all these decisions, everything you've mentioned with all respect, you kept putting it back onto the USEM board. They have a lot of responsibility.
They do. They have a lot of responsibilities.
And if there's been so many concerns coming up, and I have a few separate ones that are even regarding federal regulations that I witnessed just in one meeting, then I would be very concerned about who's on the board and how this school is being administered.
Sure.
And I would say that is the second example of how your board is different than how other public school boards run, for good or bad, but that is another difference.
Yes. So again, these are just 2 differences of how the 2 boards are run, and they are volunteers. Members of a school board get, I believe, health insurance from what I've heard. I've never been a member of a school district. I just heard that they get health insurance coverage through the district. Our board gets a dinner. That's all they get, and a round of applause. They get nothing else. They get dinner. At every meeting, because they come in at 5 in the morning. I'm sorry, board, 5 p.m., not 5 in the morning, 5 p.m., and sometimes we're there until 9, 10 o'clock at night, and they come straight from work, especially those who are now retired. So that's all they get from us, dinner and a round of applause, and a thank you. So, thank you everyone, that's just all I had to report.
All right, so thank you, Juanita. So our next OCC meeting will be November 7th. Does anybody have any other questions before we close out our meeting? Yes, Aida.
I did just want to share what that concern was. So my prior history has been working as an external evaluator for federal funding of public schools. And at the last meeting, I reviewed some agenda notes, and there was a description on Title I funding. And Title I, if you don't know, is funding that helps assist low-income students improve in academic areas. And on the agenda, with all due respect, Juanita, you stated on there that the reason why you weren't going to be getting these funds anymore is because your budget last year didn't, you needed it only because your budget was short, and this next year your budget isn't short, so you don't need the money anymore. From what I saw, it's a very small amount, but that is not something you want to be stating publicly or even acting that way with federal funds. That fund is supposed to be to serve those students here that are low income, and you need to have evidence that you're using that money appropriately and that you're helping perform, not that it's there to help fill a hole in your budget. I'm sorry to say, but that puts this school under the wrong type of microscope, and you had that, and that's something that I observed first timer coming in. That's a really big concern I have on how the school's being run for you guys, because who's gonna get hurt if you have to pay back that money and you go through an audit? Your kids. And who's not asking these questions? Your current board members. I mean, no one asked questions about that.
I'm sorry, but I have to clarify this, and you don't have all the facts. What I do have to share with you is that Title I funding is specifically designated for a specific population, and you have to use it only for them. If you buy this cup for this low-income child, you can only use this cup and this straw for that low-income child. And that is correct. We have to keep evidence of how this cup and this straw was used to serve this child. And the Alisal district, well, we get audited once a year by an independent company, and those funds get audited. Also, Alisal is being audited by the state and federal government, and we are included in that audit. By March, we will be submitting every piece of evidence to the Alisal Union School District directly to the state about how the Title I funding was spent on supporting those low-income students that needed that support.
So then
Title I, Title II, and Title III.
So what was your justification for not continuing the funding? Because in your statement you said, well, we don't need the money for our budget.
We have enough attendance and enrollment to justify providing the same quality of level of services for all students, regardless of economic and socioeconomic status.
So you should have written on your agenda
So,
the budget item.
Thank you for the suggestion. Please make sure you do that, and my door is always open for you to come and provide that information, because what is being stated here in public exposes Oasis, and I want you to know that we are audited at least once a year by an independent company, not by Juanita's audit firm, and now this year by the Alisal Union School District. By March, we will be submitting every piece of document to show how Title I funding was used, Title II, Title III, by the way, $890 for Title III, wonderful, excellent amount, for a lot of paperwork, but we have to provide it. There's a $500 and some amount for homeless and foster children. We have to provide evidence that we used every penny of it for that population. So no, we do have that documentation to back it up, and we will provide it to the federal government and specifically to Alisal by March of 2018.
Because the federal government also does its own separate audits.
I know they do, and we are very much aware, and it comes with a lot of red tape. That's why the USEM board and the community before, at large, had voted not to accept Title I funding, because I had to say, I'm sorry, Johnny, you can't use that blue pen because you're not low income, you have to give it to Susie. And it was not appropriate for us to be differentiating materials or supplies or services just because of their socioeconomic status. So that is not one of the reasons why we declined.
Okay, the next part of our agenda is our open discussion. If you guys have any particular topics or just think that we could have for our next meeting, then I have one. So last year we had a parent liaison, which was Eliza. We're really excited to help her. Parent liaison is supposed to help educate parents, promote parent involvement, and all that kind of good stuff, and help develop academic curriculum. And unfortunately this year, without my knowledge, we didn't hire one. And we noticed a budget discrepancy where that money was actually paid out, even though a position was not, that position was not filled. And I was excited about not hiring somebody, because if we could save the school $3,000 a month in a salary, that'd be great. But we found an area where, I'm going to read you the statement, the same statement I read publicly for the USEN board. The parent liaison is budgeted for this year. I think having the current staff with all this conflict of interest is not a reasonable option. Having the principal's sister and the sister of the former parent liaison take over the position, in my opinion, is unacceptable or productive. I, as an OCC member and a parent, would like someone with a passion for parents, building relationships, and accomplishing goals outlined in our own mission and goals. I'm asking the USEN board to step up, as in this matter had already been discussed with Juanita. We were told several times that we had low attendance, so we had no budget for it. But now we do have a budget for it. And I don't think that giving our 3 office staff members a stipend of, and this is something discussed at a public meeting, almost $800 stipends is appropriate. And I'd ask for the parents to encourage the administration, the youth board, to actually hire somebody and not give 3 people almost $800 a month pay.
Okay, so, hello? Okay, so we don't have any other open discussions, questions. We will go ahead and close our meeting. The next OCC meeting will be on November 7th. And the next Houston Board meeting will be October 24th. And all of those meetings are at 6:30. Oh, sorry, somebody wants to say something. Yes. Yes, Margarita.
So, Andrew, in the past, it was just Dina here that was in the front office. Dina, yeah, Dina. And then now we have, last year we had 4 in the front office. Yeah. And now we have 3. So. What she's saying is before every one person
Okay. So the question was, like, before there was 1 person, which is Dina, handling everything, and now we have 4? 3. Now we have 3. So her question is why we have 3 instead of 1.
And if you guys don't want to get your phones out, I'll give you guys my phone number before we adjourn the meeting.
Okay, so when we moved to this facility, we had Dina, and then we added 1 more. And if you remember, it was Melissa Valadez, and then it was Erika, then it was Suzanne, so we always had 2 people. Dina and someone else. Then the state came and added more attendance regulations and also payroll regulations now, that instead of once a month payroll, we do twice a month payroll. And so there were more requirements added on that we needed to be on top of. Something called CalPads. CalPads is a monster that most districts have 3 or 4 people handling. It's all about attendance, it's all about reporting to the state. So we had to separate the duties and do office management, payroll, reimbursements, accounts receivable, bills, keep it separate, so that's Suzanne. Then CalPads, attendance, and all of that good stuff, the things that we have to turn into the state, is Erika. Erika has to do that. And it's a whole report that's done 3 times a year, and it's a big report. And if it's done wrong, our funding is shut. Okay, so we have to make sure that we get that report right. And attendance and all that stuff. Then we have Meilani in the front, answering the phones, giving ice packs, Band-Aids, doing all the things that somebody needs to do at the front. So those are the 3 positions and what the responsibilities are.
So what are the specific responsibilities of the 3 staff with respect to the parent liaison?
Do we have that printed? I had that printed. So they are specific priorities and responsibilities that they have. Saturday Academy is one of them. They have to organize that. Have everything ready for all of the meetings, such as the all-family meetings, the new family meeting, the kinder meetings, the ABIT nights, science fair. Have everything ready. The food provided, the flyers, whatever that may be. Organize all of that and make sure we have it ready for the parents. To have the sign-ins collected. They need to also create a report for the board about attendance to those meetings.
All 3 staff do the exact same thing every month?
No, they have their duties divided up, and we have that list, which I will provide to Kat as soon as possible. It has been asked of me, and I have it broken down by month. Like, what are they doing every month that they're responsible for each of the duties listed also. So it will definitely be provided no later than by the end of this week.
Okay, so one of the things that was not on the agenda that we did want to address is childcare. I know a couple of people's concern was Avid Nights, you came out, there was no childcare. So unfortunately, from what we were told, public funds are not to be used for childcare. And so that has been cut, correct? Sorry, just sit up here.
Okay, so there was some back and forth about what was permitted to be paid with the Oasis funds. And the question came from a request to have childcare for the youth and board meetings. I called and spoke with Jim Koenig from the Alice Ayuno School District. The district does not provide and has not provided childcare for youth and board meetings. The district does provide childcare, for instance, for the LCAP, when they have LCAP meetings. They do. They provide that. He also stated that they also provide daycare or childcare whenever there's an academic connection. Okay? Avid Science Night, for instance. I asked our legal counsel, Jennifer, what is permitted? She said, it's not best practice to be using funds to pay for this, Oasis funds. I then received a call from Agustin giving me a directive to look and research every possibility to provide childcare for all of the events, if not for all, most of the events. I did meet with Andrew and his wife today, and I reported that, and I said, I have been instructed to look and do whatever it takes that's legally permitted to provide this service to our community. So I am looking into this. It will be addressed as soon as possible. But for youth and board meetings, so far they said no, our legal counsel as well as Alizal. But the board wants us to do whatever is necessary to make sure we provide childcare. So far, you have the youth and board, at least Agustin, that is very supportive of this, to bring this back.
I'd like to apologize to everybody here because in my heart I feel responsible for the cancellation of childcare. It was my third request asking Juanita. I really want you guys to be there, and I forget things, as I told you several times, and apparently I had already asked her 2 times for the same thing, and this last one I asked if it could happen, and then after my request I got an email saying no, it can't happen, now childcare is canceled for indefinitely. And I'm glad that she's working towards a solution, but until that solution is found, I'd like to apologize because I do feel personally responsible for doing that. It makes me very sad, so I would like to apologize to you all.
Is there questions? Okay, if we can just be brief because we want to go.
Yo voy a decir algo rápido. Yo asisto a las juntas donde están los 5 miembros que son los que dan el dinero para las escuelas. No conozco mucho de todo lo que, cómo se dice cada grupo, ¿verdad? Pero lo que yo sí recuerdo que se preguntan ellos cómo motivar a los padres para que participen en las escuelas, se involucren con sus hijos, se involucren en las juntas, ¿ok? Ella ya lo dijo, qué bueno que va a hacer algo de investigar cómo sacar esos fondos para poder proveer el cuidado de niños. Es triste que nadie, no sé pronunciar esa palabra, una señora me preguntó, dijo, pero no que iban a otorgar daycare. Le dije, la respuesta la tiene administración. Yo esto le dije. Lo que yo le dije al grupo de OCC donde yo pertenezco, yo les dije, ¿cuánto nos toca pagar a cada uno de los 10 miembros que estamos en OCC? $2.50. Los tenemos que sacar de nuestro bolsillo, más de lo que ya sacamos, después de lo que nuestros hijos pagan por su educación, y que ahí viene incluido también sacar para poder apoyar a los padres. Entonces sí debemos de tomar en cuenta y hacer esa petición a la administración, que tiene que hacer algo porque eso nos motiva para poder venir a las juntas.
Y si hay ejemplos de organizaciones que son escuelas públicas o non-profits que sí logran traer este servicio para apoyar participación de padres.
¿Qué opinan los que están aquí de padres que me entienden en español? ¿Quieren que nosotros paguemos el daycare? Yo por mí no hay problema dar $2 más. Ahorita yo les voy a decir una cosa, yo otorgué toda la comida, a mí no me tienen que pagar nada si no quieren. A mí no me tienen que pagar, yo lo hice con gusto. ¿Por qué? Porque quiero que los padres se motiven y atiendan a las juntas y se informen y sean la voz de sus hijos. Esto es lo que tienen que ser. Ser la voz de sus hijos, representar a sus hijos y siempre hablar por la educación de ellos. Y les agradezco a todos los demás que aportaron un poquito aquí, un poquito allá, pero casi la mayor parte de lo que se gastó fue de mi dinero. No me importa. No tengo de sobra, pero Dios provee para todo. Eso es lo que tengo que decir.
If you're wondering who's taking care of your children today, it's our friend. She works for Echo Valley School in Glendale. She's a teacher's aide, so she is qualified to be with the children. And Andrew and I are going to have to pay her out of our pocket tonight because we need a daycare to get all the parents here. So Andrew and I are going to have to pay.
We don't want your money.
So briefly going back to what Maria said, Maria just said that she attended a youth Senate board meeting and part of it was how to bring parents in. She said if there is no child care, how can parents come? And so she believes that that's very strong, and she says that she asked how much do we have to pay for child care? If it's $2.50